When I accidentally opened my old college buddy's Instagram, I had no idea that the next 30 seconds would turn my entire life upside down. It was just an ordinary photo from some corporate event in Miami, people, cocktails, ocean in the background. But among all those smiles I saw her. Miranda was standing way too close to some guy, their hands intertwined so naturally as if they did this every day. And the worst part, she was looking at him the way she used to look at me. Or so I thought. My name is Eric, I'm 38, and I work as an HR manager at a mid-sized IT company in Brooklyn. Miranda has been my partner for 6 years now, though we never officially got married. She's a financial literacy consultant, always said marriage was just a piece of paper. Now I understand why she insisted on that so much. We have 2 children, Olivia, 5 years old, and Ethan, 3. It was because of them that I didn't close that damn Instagram right away but started digging deeper. Who was this man? The caption under the photo helped. Thanks to Mathew for the incredible shots this evening. Mathew turned out to be an event photographer. I went to his page and started scrolling. There were plenty of photos. Corporate events, weddings, birthdays. But what struck me, Miranda had been appearing in his feed since February. 6 months. For half a year she'd been going on these business trips to Miami, while I stayed home with the kids, reading them bedtime stories and gluing Lego sets with Ethan. The next morning, when Miranda was getting ready for another conference, I acted completely normal. Kissed her goodbye, waved from the porch. And 2 hours later, I ordered a drone from Amazon with express delivery. Yes, I know how that sounds. But when you need to understand whether your life is falling apart or it's just paranoia after a random photo, you're willing to do a lot. Besides, I'm an HR manager. My job is understanding people, seeing red flags. And right now there were too many of them. I flew to Miami 3 days later when Miranda announced her next trip. Rented a hotel room a block away from where, according to her, the conference was taking place. Released the drone in the evening when she was going to a business dinner. The drone's camera showed me everything. Miranda wasn't walking to a conference hall, but to a cozy restaurant on the waterfront. Mathew was waiting for her at the entrance with a bouquet of roses. They hugged for so long that I felt something breaking inside me. Then they went inside, and through the window I could see them laughing, touching each other's hands across the table, how he pulled her in for a kiss right in the middle of dinner. The drone hovered in the air, recording everything. I sat in my hotel room watching the tablet screen, unable to believe it. This wasn't a conference. This was her other world where I didn't exist. For the next 2 days I followed them. They went to the beach, had lunch at expensive restaurants, spent time at his apartment. Miranda looked happy, happier than she'd been in recent years with us. But the most interesting thing I discovered on the 3rd day. When Mathew left for a wedding shoot, I followed Miranda. She met with his mother. In a cafe on Ocean Drive, they sat together for almost 2 hours, discussing something very important. I couldn't hear the conversation, but body language spoke for itself. His mother was hugging Miranda, showing her something on her phone. They were laughing like old friends. That was the moment when I realized, there's no going back. I returned to Brooklyn before Miranda and started taking action. The first thing I did was call a lawyer. Since we weren't officially married, the situation was more complicated, but our shared house that we bought 3 years ago and custody of the children were already serious issues. The lawyer advised me to collect as much evidence as possible. I had videos from the drone, screenshots from Instagram, credit card statements showing that Miranda was spending our shared money on these trips. But that wasn't enough for what I was planning. When Miranda came home, I greeted her as usual. The kids rushed to hug her and I saw something flash in her eyes, guilt? Doubt. But she quickly pulled herself together and started telling stories about the conference. The next week I found Mathew's mother's profile on Facebook. Turned out she was very active on social media, posting photos with grandchildren, writing posts about family, sharing recipes. Perfect target. I created a fake profile of a middle-aged woman, a lover of books and cooking. Added her as a friend under the pretext of shared interests. She accepted the request in a day. We started communicating. I was careful, didn't rush. We talked about books, about life, about children. After a week, she started sharing herself. Her son Mathew had finally found love. Miranda was a wonderful woman, successful, smart. They were planning to move in together as soon as she settled complications with her ex. I wasn't an ex yet, but in their world, it was already decided. Then I learned the most interesting part. Mathew was saving money for an engagement ring. His mother was thrilled. Finally her 35-year-old son would settle down. They were even discussing a possible wedding date, next spring. I continued playing my role. Congratulated her on her birthday, commented on photos, maintained conversations. And in parallel, I collected every detail about Mathew, his family, their plans. In October, Miranda announced she needed to go to Miami for an important project. For 2 weeks. The kids were upset. It was Halloween, they'd already tried on their costumes. But she promised to bring gifts and flew away. This time I didn't follow her. Instead, I invited Miranda's parents to visit. Said I wanted to discuss an important family matter. They came the next day, a bit worried by my mysterious tone. Over a cup of coffee, I showed them everything. Videos from the drone, photos from Instagram, correspondence with Mathew's mother, where she enthusiastically talked about her future daughter-in-law. My mother-in-law's face went white as chalk. My father-in-law first didn't believe it, then got angry, then just sat silently. "Did she tell you about Miami?" I asked. They nodded. Miranda had told them the same story about a work project. Want to know the truth? Right now she's there with him. They're celebrating the anniversary of their relationship. It was true. I'd seen Mathew's posts, romantic dinner, yacht trip, sunset. All the things Miranda and I used to do together. My mother-in-law started crying. She'd always considered our family perfect, bragged about her grandchildren to friends. My father-in-law asked what I was going to do. "I want you to be on my side when everything comes out," I said. "The kids will need stability. They need their house, their school, their friends. And I need your support." They agreed. Moreover, my father-in-law offered to help with a lawyer. He had a good friend who specialized in such cases. My next step was Mathew. I found a way to contact him through his work page. Supposedly a potential client looking for a photographer for a corporate event in Brooklyn. He responded quickly, professionally. We agreed to meet at a cafe to discuss details. When Mathew walked into the cafe, I immediately recognized him. Tall, athletic, with that carefree smile of a person who doesn't know their world is about to change. We sat down at a table. I started talking about the supposed corporate event, the number of guests, budget. He listened attentively, took notes. And then I said, "By the way, my wife will also be there. Miranda. You seem to know her?" His face froze. The pen hung over the notebook. What? Miranda. Financial literacy consultant. Travels to Miami for conferences. Or at least that's what she tells me. The pause dragged on. Mathew was looking at me, trying to understand if this was a bluff or truth. "Listen, I don't know what you're..." She has a heart-shaped birthmark on her left shoulder. She doesn't like coffee, only mint tea. When she's nervous, she twirls a strand of hair around her finger. Should I continue? He went pale. Miranda and I have been together for 6 years. We have 2 children. Olivia is learning to write her name in capital letters, and Ethan just learned to count to 20. They love telling her about their day before bed. But for the last 6 months, she's often missed this because she's working late. Mathew stood up. "I didn't know." She said you separated a year ago. That you live in another city. That the kids what? He sat back down, ran his hands over his face. That they live with you and you agreed on peaceful co-parenting. That she's waiting for the paperwork to be finalized. I pulled out my phone and showed him a morning photo of me and the kids in the kitchen making pancakes. Yesterday's date. "Does this look like we separated?" Mathew looked at the photo for a long time. Then at me. Understanding appeared in his eyes, followed by pain. "She's lying," he whispered. All this time she's been living a double life. Both you and I were parts of her game." I took out a folder with evidence. Not all of it, but enough for him to understand the scale. Photos from the drone where they were together. Screenshots of her conversations with his mother. I got them through the fake profile when Mathew's mother shared screenshots of the wonderful daughter-in-law. "She was meeting with my mom," he said quietly. "Talking about the future. I was going to propose to her at Christmas." I said nothing. Gave him time to digest the information. "What now?" he finally asked. "Now we both do what we should have done long ago. Get out of this toxic story." Mathew nodded. And then suddenly asked, "The kids, do they really not know?" Olivia sometimes asks why mom travels so often. But no, they don't know. He wiped his eyes. I saw that it really hurt him. Strange, but I didn't feel hatred toward him. He was also a victim of Miranda's lies. "She's coming back the day after tomorrow," I said. "I'm going to tell her everything. If you want to be there." "No," he answered quickly. "I can't. I need time." We exchanged numbers. As he left the cafe, his shoulders were slumped, and that carefree smile was gone forever. I thought it couldn't get any worse, but the next 2 days I spent preparing. The lawyer drew up all the documents. Miranda's parents agreed to testify if necessary. I transferred the house to my name alone. This was possible because I made the initial payment, and Miranda was just listed as a co-resident. Opened a separate bank account. Took all the children's important documents. When Miranda returned, the kids greeted her with joy. She brought toys, hugged them, told made-up stories about the conference. I watched this and realized, she really didn't feel guilty. For her this was normal. That evening when the kids fell asleep, I asked her to come down to the living room. We need to talk. She became alert. Maybe she heard something in my voice. About what? I turned on the TV and launched the drone video. First, her with Mathew near the restaurant. Second, them on the beach. Third, a kiss at sunset. Miranda froze. Color drained from her face. This is... Before I continue, please pause the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new interesting stories. Thank you. 6 months, I interrupted. 6 months you've been going to him. Telling his family I'm your ex planning a wedding while I read bedtime stories to our children. She tried to say something but I continued. Mathew didn't know about us. You lied to him. Lied to me. Lied to your parents. The only truth you told was to your feelings for him. Eric, I can explain. There are no explanations, Miranda. There are only facts. And the fact is that you destroyed 3 lives, mine, yours, and Mathew's. Mathew? You talked to him? Yes. And he was devastated. Imagine, he loved you. Really loved you. Was saving for a ring. And then found out that everything was a lie. Tears rolled down her face. I didn't want to, it just happened. I met him in a cafe, we started talking and you decided you could have both. Stability with me and passion with him. Kids, house, normalcy here, and romance there. I loved him, she whispered. Loved. Already past tense. She nodded. He doesn't want to talk to me. Blocked me everywhere. His mother, she wrote me terrible things. I almost laughed. There it was. She'd lost Mathew even before I started the conversation. So what now? She asked. You want a divorce? We're not married, remember? It's just a piece of paper, as you said. The kids stay with me. The house is mine, I have all the documents. Your parents support me. The lawyer has already drawn up an agreement on property division and custody. You can see the kids on designated days, but primary custody is with me. You can't do this. I can. And I will. I have evidence of your infidelity, your lies, spending shared money on a relationship with a lover. No court will side with you. Miranda sobbed. Real bitter tears. But it didn't affect me anymore. Where will I live? Not my problem. You can go back to Miami to Mathew. Although he's unlikely to take you. This isn't fair. I made a mistake, but that doesn't mean I'm a bad mother. A bad mother doesn't lie to her children for 6 months. A bad mother doesn't choose a lover over family. You made your choice, Miranda. Now live with the consequences. She grabbed her phone, started calling someone. First her friend, then her mom. But her mom didn't pick up. I knew why. I'd asked my mother-in-law not to support her daughter in this, showed all the evidence. Even your family isn't on your side, I said calmly. They saw how you played with all of us. And then, even worse. The next few days were chaos. Miranda tried to fight, hired a lawyer, but the evidence was irrefutable. The court quickly sided with me, stability, house, family support, absence of lies. Meanwhile, I learned from the fake profile that Mathew had completely broken down. His mother wrote that her son wasn't leaving the house, had refused several work projects, fell into depression. She blamed Miranda for everything, called her a manipulator and liar. I almost felt sorry about this. Almost. But then I remembered how Miranda hugged him in that video, how happily she laughed, and I understood, he was also part of her game. A month later, Miranda moved out. Rented a small apartment on the other side of Brooklyn. The kids took the separation hard, especially Olivia. She constantly asked why mom doesn't live with us anymore. I tried to explain gently without demonizing Miranda, but it was difficult. Ethan was younger, he adapted faster. But Olivia, she started drawing a family of 4, mom, dad, her and brother. But in the drawings, mom was always separate, not holding our hands. Miranda saw the kids every Saturday. She'd come, take them for a few hours to the park or to an ice cream cafe. But they were no longer that family. There was no trust and the kids felt it. One day, 3 months after everything, I accidentally ran into Miranda's former friend. She approached me at the playground where I was with the kids. Eric, I'm so sorry, she began. I didn't know about Mathew. If I had known. It's okay, I replied. It's not your fault. She's really bad right now. Lost several clients because the news spread. Mathew posted on Facebook about how she lied to him. Didn't name names, but everyone understood. I nodded. Wasn't happy about it, but wasn't sad either. What about him? Mathew. He moved to California. Started everything from scratch. His mother too. Said she couldn't stay in Miami after such a scandal. The kids ran to the slide and we stood in silence. You did the right thing, she finally said. I know many people judge, but kids deserve honesty. Yes, I agreed. They deserve it. A few more months passed. Life was gradually entering a new normal. The kids got used to the schedule. I learned to cook more dishes to be both dad and mom at the same time. Miranda's parents sometimes came to help, and there was no tension between us. They understood who was to blame. Miranda saw the kids less and less often. At first every Saturday, then once every 2 weeks, then once a month. She said work took a lot of time, that she needed to restore her reputation. But I saw the truth. It was hard for her to look at the consequences of her actions. One spring day when I was picking up Olivia from school, she asked, Dad, will Mom come back? I crouched down to be at her eye level. No, sweetie. Mom won't come back to live with us. But she's still your mom and loves you. Why did she leave? I thought for a long time about the answer. How do you explain to a 5-year-old girl about betrayal, lies, destroyed trust? Sometimes adults make mistakes. Big mistakes. And these mistakes change everything. Olivia nodded, though she probably didn't understand everything. She took my hand and we went home where Ethan was waiting for us with the nanny. Life went on. Without Miranda, without drama, without double life. Just us, a father and 2 kids learning to live in a new reality. But what happened after that was something no one expected. Not even me. About 3 months after Miranda moved out, I got a call from an unknown Miami number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Eric? This is Mathew's mother, Patricia. I was stunned. Why would she be calling me? I know this is strange, she continued, but I need to talk to you. About Miranda. And about what she did to my son. We talked for almost an hour. Patricia told me that after our conversation with Mathew, he'd fallen into a deep depression. Stopped working, stopped communicating with friends. She was seriously worried about him. But what she said next shocked me even more. Eric, I found something. Messages between Miranda and another man. Not just one, there were several. My blood ran cold. What do you mean, several? I was helping Mathew clean out his apartment before the move to California. Found an old tablet that Miranda had left there once. It wasn't locked. I know I shouldn't have looked, but I was so angry. And I found messages. There were at least 3 other men she was communicating with the same way. One in Atlanta, one in Boston, one in Chicago. Same pattern, business trips, romantic messages, promises. This was it, the final nail in the coffin of the image I had of Miranda. She hadn't just been cheating with Mathew. She'd been running multiple relationships simultaneously. Did Mathew know? I asked. No. And I'm not going to tell him. He's finally starting to recover. Moving to California was the best decision. But I thought you should know. Because if she's still seeing your kids. My reaction shocked even her friends. That evening I called my lawyer. Showed him the information Patricia had sent me, screenshots, message transcripts, everything. He said this would significantly strengthen our custody case. But I decided to go further. I hired a private investigator, not to spy on Miranda anymore, but to document everything about her current life. Was she stable? Was she in a good mental state to be around our children? What the investigator found over the next month was disturbing. Miranda was barely making ends meet, had been fired from 2 consulting jobs for unprofessional conduct. Apparently word had gotten around about her personal life. She'd been evicted from her apartment for not paying rent and was now living with a friend. But the most concerning part, she'd started going out to bars almost every night. The investigator had photos of her clearly intoxicated, getting into cars with different men. This wasn't the mother I wanted around Olivia and Ethan. I filed for supervised visitation only. The court agreed after seeing the evidence. Miranda fought it, but her own behavior had sealed her fate. The supervised visits lasted only 2 months. Miranda missed 3 consecutive scheduled visits, citing work obligations that didn't exist. The social worker's reports painted a picture of someone who had completely lost direction in life. Then came the call I'd been half expecting, half dreading. It was Miranda's mother. Eric, she's gone. What do you mean gone? She left New York. Said she couldn't handle seeing the kids under those conditions, couldn't handle everyone knowing what she'd done. She's moving to Seattle. Starting over. She's abandoning her children? I couldn't keep the anger from my voice. She said it's better this way. That they're better off with you. That she'll send money when she can. Money. As if money could replace a mother. But maybe in a twisted way she was right. Olivia and Ethan were better off with stability, with someone who would actually be there. The kids took the news differently. Ethan, at 3 years old, didn't fully understand. But Olivia cried for 3 days straight. Not because she missed the Miranda who had been visiting sporadically, but because she missed the idea of the mother she'd once had. I held her through every tear. Read her extra stories at night. Let her sleep in my room when the nightmares came. Slowly, painfully we healed. 6 months passed. Then a year. Life found a new rhythm. Olivia started first grade and made friends with a girl whose parents were also divorced. They bonded over their shared experience. Ethan started preschool and was thriving. His teachers said he was one of the most well-adjusted kids in his class. Miranda sent money occasionally, never consistently, never enough to make a real difference, but I deposited it into college funds for the kids anyway. She called on their birthdays, but the conversations were awkward, stilted. The kids would answer her questions with one-word responses and be relieved when the calls ended. One evening, almost 2 years after everything fell apart, Olivia came to me with a school assignment. Dad, I have to draw my family tree. Who should I include? I looked at the blank paper in her hands. Who do you want to include? She thought for a moment. You, me, Ethan, Grandma and Grandpa. She paused. Should I include Mom? That's up to you, sweetie. She's still your mom even if she's not here. Olivia nodded slowly. I'll put her name. But, can I draw you bigger? Since you're the one who's actually here. My heart broke and swelled at the same time. Of course, love. Of course. As I watched her carefully drawing our family tree, making me and my parents the central figures, I realized something. Miranda's betrayal had destroyed one family, but it had also forced me to build something stronger. Something based on actual presence, actual commitment, actual love, not just words and promises. After this moment, her life was never the same. I'd heard through mutual friends that Miranda had struggled in Seattle too. Couldn't keep jobs, couldn't maintain relationships. The pattern of her lies had become so ingrained that even when she tried to be honest, people didn't trust her. She'd burned too many bridges, hurt too many people. Patricia still kept in touch with me occasionally. Mathew had found success in California, both professionally and personally. He'd met someone new, someone honest and straightforward. They were taking things slow, but Patricia said she'd never seen her son happier. You know, she told me during one of our calls, in a strange way Miranda did us all a favor. She showed us what we didn't want in our lives. She showed us the value of honesty. I couldn't quite agree with the favor part, but I understood what she meant. The experience had changed me. Made me more cautious, yes, but also more appreciative of genuine connections. Made me value the people who showed up, day after day, through the boring mundane moments as much as the exciting ones. I'd started dating again. Nothing serious, but I was open to the possibility. The kids liked the woman I'd been seeing, a teacher named Sarah who understood the complexity of my situation. She didn't push, didn't demand, just let things develop naturally. Daddy has a girlfriend, Ethan announced one day with a giggle. Olivia rolled her eyes with all the sophistication of a 7-year-old. Daddy has a friend who's a girl. It's different. But she smiled when she said it. And that smile told me everything I needed to know. We were going to be okay. 3 years after that photo on Instagram changed everything, I stood in our backyard watching Olivia and Ethan play with the neighbor's dog. The house was filled with their laughter, their artwork covered the refrigerator, their schedules dictated my calendar. This was what mattered. Not the betrayal, not the revenge, not even the satisfaction of being proven right. Just this, the everyday moments of raising 2 kids who knew they were loved, who knew they could count on me, who were learning what commitment actually meant by watching me show up for them every single day. Miranda called that Christmas. First time in 6 months. The kids talked to her briefly, told her about school, about their hobbies. There was no hostility, but there was also no real connection. She'd become almost like a distant relative, someone they knew in theory but not in practice. After they hung up, Olivia looked at me with those wise beyond her years eyes. Dad, do you think Mom ever regrets what she did? I considered the question carefully. Probably. But regret doesn't change the past. It's what we do moving forward that matters. Like how you take care of us? Exactly like that. She nodded, satisfied with the answer, and went back to building a Lego castle with Ethan. The ending of this story surprised even me. Not because of some dramatic confrontation or final revenge, but because of how ordinary it all became. The woman who had once been the center of my world, who I'd planned a future with, who I'd trusted completely, had become just a name on a phone screen. A voice that called twice a year. A figure in old photographs that the kids barely remembered. The real story wasn't about her betrayal. It was about what came after. About choosing to be present. About building a life on truth instead of lies. About showing my kids that even when people let you down, even when your world falls apart, you can put it back together. Maybe not the same way, maybe not with the same pieces, but you can build something solid and real and good. 5 years after finding that Instagram photo, I married Sarah. Olivia and Ethan were part of the ceremony, standing beside us, holding rings, beaming with pride. They'd asked if they should invite Miranda. I told them it was their choice. They decided not to. Not out of spite, but because, as Olivia explained, this is about our family now. Our real family. Miranda sent a gift anyway, a card with money. The kids put it in their college funds and went back to celebrating. That night, after the wedding, after the guests had left, after the kids were asleep, Sarah and I sat on the back porch. No regrets, she asked. About marrying you? Not a single one. About everything. The whole journey. I thought about it. About the pain, the betrayal, the long nights wondering what I'd done wrong. About slowly realizing I hadn't done anything wrong. That sometimes people make choices that have nothing to do with you and everything to do with their own brokenness. No regrets, I said finally. Because it led me here. To this moment. To this family. And that was the truth. Miranda's betrayal had been devastating, but it had also been clarifying. It had forced me to become the father my kids needed. It had taught me what I truly valued. It had shown me that sometimes the worst moments of your life can lead to the best ones, if you're willing to do the work, to heal, to choose differently. The revenge wasn't in destroying her life. The revenge was in building mine. The kids grew up knowing they were loved unconditionally. They grew up seeing a healthy relationship between Sarah and me. They grew up understanding that trust is earned, that commitment means showing up, that family is about more than biology. Miranda called less and less over the years. Eventually the calls stopped altogether. The kids noticed, grieved in their own way, and moved on. They had 2 parents who were present, who showed up to every school play and soccer game and parent-teacher conference. They had stability. They had love. They had truth. And me? I had the satisfaction of knowing that when my world fell apart, I put it back together stronger than before. I had the knowledge that I'd done right by my kids, given them a better example than the one I'd been left with. Years later, I heard Miranda had moved back east, was trying to reconnect with Olivia and Ethan, who were teenagers by then. They met her for coffee once, more out of curiosity than anything else. Afterward, Olivia said, she seemed sad. Like she missed out on something. She did, I said simply. She missed out on you. Do you hate her? Ethan asked. I thought about it honestly. No. I feel sorry for her. She had something real and threw it away for something that was never going to last. That's not something to hate. That's something to learn from. And that was the final lesson of the whole experience. Not hatred, not bitterness, but understanding. Understanding that people sometimes make catastrophically bad choices. Understanding that you can't control others' actions, only your responses. Understanding that the best revenge isn't destruction. It's building something so good, so solid, so filled with genuine love and commitment that the betrayal becomes just a chapter in a much longer, much better story. YouTube may no longer suggest my channel to you, so subscribe to it to receive new interesting stories. You will also help the channel grow and improve the quality of its content. The screen now displays a playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to. You can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.